Okay, here is a 1975 Honda CB550F. It's having some troubles running. I'm going to try to take these carbs off and look inside and see what's going on. Never done it before, so this is my process. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the fuel tank so I can take a look at how these are seated, what tools I may need to use to get them off. Okay, having removed the fuel tank, I have a better look at the carbs as they sit. And one thing I noticed too that I'll need to do is remove the seat. That looks pretty easy by taking out some of these cotter pins and sliding the seat off. Unscrew this guy. Unscrew this guy. It's finger tight. It's probably not good. Take off this air intake. And there's my air box down there. I'm going to want to get that out of the way. It seems to me if I do that, I might be able to cheat the air box back, if that's what it's called. I'm calling them all the wrong things. But this needs to go back even a little bit for me to get the carbs out. So I'm going to take this out. It's pretty simple. Take this little clip, pull it straight up, and remove the air filter assembly right out. And I already started removing this screw because I need to lift this out. So that's where I am here. Take this piece out, take this piece out, and so he just comes out really easy like that. All right, after I got these screws off, we're going to wrestle this. There's a little pin here that kind of connects the front to the back. It's easy to see, and you figure it out. You're going to pull this back a little bit, and then you're going to kind of semi-wrestle this. Really snug fit. I guess semi-wrestle this out. And once I wrestle that out, looking at the bottom, I guess, yeah. Ooh, they're pretty gunked up. They weren't connected to anything. I'll have to check the manual for that. These things, whatever they are at the bottom of that, are really gunked up. There you have it. So now I'll be able to move this back. Maybe get those carbs out. Take this drain tube off, and I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Drain the carb bowl by just taking this brass nut off, letting the fuel drain out that way. Each one of these brass screws has a little hole at the bottom or toward the top. Pretty gunked up on this one in particular. The other three were clear. So once again, first time seeing these, not sure what the little hole in the side of the screw does down here. Not sure how important these gaskets are. I'm preparing to take these carbs off my CB550. I know that I have to take this. It looks like a vacuum hose of sorts because it snakes under the carbs. It's just going to get in the way when I try to remove the carbs, so I'm going to just unloosen this and remove that from the engine block and kind of put it up. It came off real easy. Alright, just snake that down below. And, well, actually I might just leave it there. It's not in the way. Right like that. Quickly looking, just kind of basically seeing the clutch cable is going to need to be disengaged and moved. That'll contradict with a little bit of the free movement here. And also my go cables, I'm going to call them, my throttle cables. Both sides need to be removed, and also probably the fuel line. So let me loosen up the clutch cable. I simply unscrewed this, and the clutch cable is connected underneath right here. I actually just pulled that out. Then by pressing the cable in, I noticed it gave me slack on the other side of the bike. That was the slack I needed to take the cable off of the clutch lever down here. So now the cable is obviously going to be free to move, and I'm just going to take that clutch cable and I'm going to snake it on up to the front of the bike, keep it out of the way during the carb removal. Okay, getting the throttle cables off was a little easier than I thought. I just simply loosened this nut, and I noticed it came out, slipped down, so obviously this will slip off very easy. Don't even have to do it, I just know it will. And then the same thing with this one back here, but what I'm going to do right now is get some masking tape and label these top throttle, bottom throttle, so I know where they go. I just unscrewed these clamps, and there's 2 clamps per rubber gasket per carb. So there's 1, 2, I unscrewed all 8 loose enough so that they spin. Didn't take them off. The reason I unscrewed both was because I want to take this rubber gasket off, kind of look-see. So I know I needed that loose. Back here, this is interesting, by the air box, I unloosened, there's only 1 of these, and when I did that, I think this, don't forget, this is botched. Look at that. It already needs to be replaced, I know it. But these almost feel like they'd accordion back out of the way, so I'm going to try to accordion these back into themselves. Well, I kind of got this to accordion in, but I'm not sure if I like how, yeah, well, see, there's a little, it's kind of funky, but it did go. It bought me a little bit more room, so I might try it with the rest of them, or I may just try to wiggle these out. I have a feeling I'm going to have to replace this air box because look at that. So, and this is just the first thing I can see. So if that's kind of what's happening, this has got to go, or at least these have to go. So I'm hoping that I can move this air box back. I'm probably not even calling it the right thing. Move that back enough to rock these carbs out now. Yeah. All right, they want to come out. I'll slide them to the right. It says. Let's see what happens when I slide them to the right. Ooh. Rubber. All right, coming. I'm just wrestling. I think I'm ripping up. Okay, the carbs came off. There, the carbs came off. Here's the carbs. They came off. All right, so I have the carburetors on the table. Turn on some light. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to take them all apart. I'm just very curious to see what happens when I take off one of the float bowls. I've never opened one of these carbs before. I don't even know what to expect. Screws come off. They break easy, as if for sure these carb bowls have been off before, so I'm not going to have any trouble getting them off. I do know that once I open them up, I will have to replace, at the very least, the carb bowl seals, if that's what they're called. Once again, don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. Now the reason I'm videotaping this is because I don't know what to expect when I open this. Comes off easy. There's the seal. There's the float bowl. And wow. You know, the carb looks pretty darn clean, actually. It's a 1975 bike. This carb has obviously been gone through before I purchased it in '08, because I don't see the residue I'd expect from something that hadn't been maintained. So that's a great sign. So investigating a little further, my float bowls move freely. I can see why you need to replace the gasket, why that might cause leak. Now, interesting that when I opened up the drain screw, I thought the residual fuel was supposed to come out here, but it would only come out there, right? If the level of the fuel was, that's the overflow. So, is the fuel supposed to come out here? Hey, maybe it is. First motorcycle, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to dig a little deeper here and see. Not too deep because they don't look too bad. They actually look like they could just be sprayed and cleaned. So, remove, rotate this up, pull it off. Now there's a pin here that comes out. Pull that pin out, my float's going to come out. Where's my pliers? Use my needle nose pliers to pull this pin out. You do not want to break it. You do not want to force it. I do wish it came out a little easier. It wants to come out. Come on, baby. There it comes, come on. There it is. My float bowls. They look great. The pin. Float bowls look awesome. They're in good shape. Sorry. There you go. Good shape. Almost look brand new. Stuff comes out. I know stuff comes out, but I don't know how. Here's a jet. Yeah, I'm gonna pause here because I don't know what comes out next. But what I'm seeing here is that these carbs, this carb, looks pretty clean. I'm looking inside the carburetor bowl of two and I'm noticing it's pretty nasty. Here's the actual bowl itself. A little nasty, not bad, but way grimier. 2, 3, 4, 2. So that might be part of the problem.